DCG, as we will be getting onto the Rift for our 5th and final game today, the loser of which is eliminated from the PCS Spring Split Playoffs.
Absolutely will be, and for this, I expect to see a bit of pressure, especially considering you will likely have the Taliyah roam around the bot lane. I feel like bot lane has been so pivotal in all of these games, and it's just hard to ignore at this point, right?
Yeah, I think with the Veigar mid as well, you're not really expecting to get any priority. So there is always a potential for Pretender to kind of run down towards that bot side. It is actually Scorch picked up from Nesty, which is a little strange. Don't often see that on the Veigar, just because honestly can't proc it very often, but maybe just kind of wants to use it as his more defensive tool. Definitely a little strange.
Is going to be the phase rush again for the Maokai and Grasp the Undying for Jax. So we do tend to see either Grasp or Lethal Tempo taken for this champion. He will have demolished this game, so may have a bit more pressure over the side lane as this game progresses, but so far we do see red start for Hana as well as a Raptor start here for Hollow.
Everything starting off pretty normally. Doesn't look like we're going to see anything crazy in the early game. One thing I want to bring up as well is that Eminem has gone for the Ghost, which is obviously very good for the team fight, but not having Cleanse versus Veigar Cage means if you do miss position once, can find yourself in a bit of trouble here. Also, Cascada goes for the Cull. Knows that at least in this 2v2 should be fine. Orca, it could have been pretty problematic if he got hit by that. Cascada was in the river warding, but does manage to dodge it out nicely.
Yeah, so again, we do see in this bottom lane, the push always tends to go towards the side of Zeri Lulu early, especially against Xayah if she doesn't have that pairing of Rakan. So things going as expected here, at least in this lane. I think across the board, we do expect to be a bit of a calm game. I mean, being that you are going to be eliminated if you lose this, you don't want to just go for something aggressive and lose the game just based entirely off that one play.
No, certainly would not, especially with so much on the line. It is Pretender, though, who has a lot of priority in this mid lane, and maybe looking into bot river is Hollow. He drops a ward, and I think he's waiting for them to overextend, and he might actually look on the DCG's bot lane. Is spotted out on a ward, but is it too late?
Hana in the area too, though, so this could be potentially dangerous if overcommitted for, but will be okay to just back out as Hana walks into this area of the river as well. Looks like both junglers will be happy to just return back to farming.
Back to farming indeed. Hollow drops some saplings around mid, which will give Pretender a little bit of safety. But I think the slower you can have this early game here, the better it is for the Veigar. Doesn't want to contest too heavily, especially not early. And this could even be a game where you look towards something like the Everfrost on the Veigar instead, just to kind of allow yourself to contest a bit earlier, because you already have so much scaling with the Zeri Lulu. Feels like just being able to contest a little bit earlier could be a good decision. There's that top scuttle there that is picked up for Hollow. And with Pretender, you know, getting priority over this mid lane, you're kind of not expecting any huge plays to come out pre-6, but like you said, once has that Weaver's Wall, can look towards bot lane. Maybe kind of turn that in their favor. And it's exciting again to see solo kill back on one of these carry champs. Has been unleashed from tank duty. And even in the Nara game, right? Well, even though he didn't find the biggest lead in the early game, it was really in the mid game and in the team fights that he turned it on. So hoping for a repeat performance of that for him. Here up on this Jax once again.
Absolutely, and so far I believe Cassante hasn't won a game yet in this series, so for Hanabi definitely wanting to turn that around, has opted for the Ghost, which I think at this stage is the more traditional rune to be taking on Cassante, although is sometimes the Flash. I'm not even so sure what the sort of reasoning for taking either of them are. I know Ghost probably better for team fighting, but
it honestly just feels like Ghost is better overall to be... Oh, although Orca needs to be a little careful here. There are a lot of junglers around. Cascada's on a ward.
Yeah, Cascada getting really lippy here. He's going over. He's going to get hooked up straight away. Has to use his flash and cleanse. Climbing now, just trying to get away. So Ignite for the trade of both sons of Cascada. Favors Frank definitely. And overextending quite a lot there was Cascada.
I think Chris Carter was trying to set up for his own jungler's gank, was trying to bait Frank to walking forward and then dash through the wall. The problem was there was a ward though, and Hollow was in the area. And as a result, does lose both his sums, and ahead of the Talia hitting level 6, that can be quite scary. It does maybe open some sort of repeat gank opportunity onto bot side. Although top lane also was looking very vulnerable. Hanabi's quite low, but is now level 6, and Pretender moving up. Has to be careful though, he doesn't have his jungler nearby, and he's about to meet Hana with very low mana. Does get spotted out. We'll just go for the reset, so unfortunately nothing will come of this. We can just reset and TP back to mid. Nesty is going for that Rod of Ages. Does grab the Catalyst here. TP's back to mid as well, and if he can get priority here on this wave, could maybe stop the bot dive coming out. It is the tier 2 boots picked up by Pretender as well, so definitely wants movement speed. Kind of suggests that he does have a game plan of going towards that bot side.
Yep, Dragon on the map now. It is 6 minutes 30, which we've seen the Dragon pretty much be contested by the 7-minute mark every game.
Yeah, as we know here.
Yeah, 4 people now headed towards here. Vega Cage comes out. It will land onto Kaiwing. Hollow needing to flash away now. Lots of low health bars. Shovel will connect onto the clone, but will there be anything more from this? It doesn't look like it, but good use of utility there to make sure Hollow has to flash away.
Was nice for sure, and the health bar is chunked out as well. Does again free up your bot lane to make sure they don't get punished while they don't have these sums. Despite Pretender having the priority over mid, wasn't able to really commit a whole lot to that fight. Did get the shove, but was just onto the Wukong clone. It looks like the drag window will be missed at least for now, but Herald is spawning in only 45 more seconds, and wouldn't be surprised to see some rotation up towards that. Solikill though, he's getting a lot of pressure in topside and has the Sheen. So definitely wants to fight, and they're going to try regain this bot side, looks like, Frank Esports. There's a lot of wards to get through. They're going to grab at least a couple of them, but it looks like that pink, yeah, will survive, I would expect. I don't think Hollow feels very comfortable, although checks it with the sapling and now should be able to take it away. So it's a lot of bot side vision regained here for the side of Frank, but once again, you know, as is kind of typical for these teams, early game is remaining relatively even. They're starting up Dragon. They have mid and bot priority currently, so this looks like it will be the first one going over to the side of Frank Esports. Meanwhile, though, DCG, they can perhaps trade on the other side of the map, and it should be looking towards the Herald. Although, instead, I think Hana's going to look for camps or something. Maybe he's just trying to go for vision. Hollow, though, he's already kind of committing that Herald is gone, and it's going to maybe play for a bot play instead. Is, I think, only a couple creeps from 6? Okay, yeah, gets 6 through that creep. Might just try ult through the wall. Cleanse is almost up.
Looks like he will be backing. Notices that Rift Herald hasn't been started on, and maybe even looking to try and contest that as Hana trying to find something onto solo kill here. Solo kill has to be careful. He knows his jungler is nowhere near him. He's actually finding himself at an XP disadvantage now in this 1v1.
Yeah, he's a little far behind. I think it was kind of surprising that Hana didn't just start the Herald. Feels like it could have just been picked up. I'm not sure if he took away a camp there. Maybe it was the Gromp, but Solikill does need to be a little careful with how aggressive he gets. Obviously, he has that flash. But now it feels like it's kind of back to Frank's turn to pressure the map, and it looks like Hollow is going to try play for something top, or maybe just wants to help crash this wave ahead of starting the Herald. He's going to ward Herald. Yeah, so this is spotted out as being started here. DCG, I don't think there's any way they can contest. They have Hana on the other side of the map, so well, gold remains even. I think, you know, early game for Frank Esports is definitely going their way. I'm managing to get the major objectives using that prio.
Yeah, and this is just what kind of gets afforded to you when you do constantly manage to keep mid prio. And picking the Vega, again, I have to say, it hasn't looked so good in these playoffs. And this is kind of the reason, right? You've got an even gold at the moment, but with Dragon already going over to Frank and the Rift Herald, this really can create problems later on in this game.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to give up in the early game. I do think if they can play around it, Vega looks very, very strong. But so often we've seen the Vegars either with poor itemization or just falling so far behind that the scaling doesn't really matter. And we'll have to see if Nesty can show something different. He's kind of the king of some of these off-meta champs, so wouldn't be surprised if he's the one to make it work. And even we kind of didn't even bring it up that much, but got himself a pentakill on the Ari last series, or last game, excuse me, despite falling so far behind, so has certainly been performing well. I feel like we've had a lot of pentakills picked up in the PCS this split.
Yeah, we only had one during the regular split, and I think it's been 3 so far in the playoffs, I want to say. Possibly 4, but definitely 3 that I remember. And so a bit of a switch up, absolutely, for sort of how often we've seen these pentakills. Nice dodge out there by Cascada to ensure his safety as set up around this bot side, 2 minutes out from Dragon. You have to think Frank are going to look towards that, utilizing what Talia can bring you versus the Veigar. Although Veigar is a lot more sort of survivable now, having that first item completed.
And he has got that catalyst for himself and is very, very hard to take out. It's Frank who maintain control over this river, but they want to try and get a Herald on bot. Looks like they're going to go for it now. Pretender's around. I wonder if he just walls them off the tower to kind of make sure the plates go down, but instead will return to mid. Herald is dropped in bot lane though. But there should be a little bit of gold going over to Eminem. He's going to try and crash his wave. I'm not sure if he's actually allowed to walk up to this tower. Does he get the gold? Looks like he does. Split between him and Hollow. It is a nice little injection there, but still the gold remains completely even. There's actually a slight CS lead for Hanabi in the top side, who is starting to bully out this matchup in the 1v1. Has himself the Mythic and also a solo kill on very low HP. Solo kill, he does have the TP, so probably can just look to reset here. It's definitely looking good for Hanabi.
Wonder if Divine Sunder is completable here, because that could definitely switch up how this matchup looks, but have to wait and find out. It is the Divine Sunderer, so you have to feel like now Solo Kill will have a little bit more pressure to be able to apply in this top lane matchup.
It will be interesting to see where it goes from here. As we've seen so many times in the PCS, this matchup, even as it goes later on, can remain very volatile, right? Champ, kind of Solo Kills traded between the two champs. DCG, though, they're entering the river ahead of this dragon spawn, only 30 seconds away now. Frank, though, they managed to crash the wave in time, so Cascada, he's going to have to go answer that. And it looks like Hollow, he's returning the bot side, so most likely will be a 4v4 contest. Both top laners have their TP down, so wouldn't be expecting them to join.
You definitely wouldn't. Probably more likely to just continue 1v1ing up there, and I don't suspect either of these teams really want to give over this dragon. Nesty has now completed Rod of Ages, so a little bit stronger on this Veigar. But still have to feel like he's not quite as strong as a Talia, even though no Mythic is yet completed.
He has the Sorks, and I think DCG are probably just going to give this one up, which is probably a fine decision. You don't have the Mythic yet on Cascada. Don't have the top lane TP, so can't get Hanabi into this fight. It is 2 drags going the way of Frank now, so they have that very early dragon win condition and will force DCG to contest at only 18 minutes into this game, which is... it's a nice kind of point of leverage for you to have. But with the goal being completely even, you have to feel like that fight could be anyone's at this point.
Cascada needs to be careful here. There are 4 members of Frank down on this bottom side as he's actually playing pretty aggressively. Will that tower go down? Actually, we see Cyclone be used here onto Hollow. Wild Growth is well used. Nature's Grasp is used to sort of give Hollow any movement speed. Nesty will find the first bite actually with that Q on Veigar. Definitely not what you want for the side of Frank.
It's not, and that's an amazing amount of gold traded back. Gold was completely even, and now it's 900 towards the side of DCG, and I think the gold going on to Nesty with this Veigar pick is very good for him as well. We'll be interested to see whether he does itemize towards that Ceres or Rabadon second, because I think the Rabadon is a lot better. But it looks like Hollow and Pretender perhaps were just a bit too far up. We'll see, they were face-checking this bush, engaged on just by Hana, and then with the Veigar cage coming through as well, Hollow is so low by the time he's able to flash out and spent a lot of time kiting while Nesty didn't have the cooldown ready. I think maybe if he just ran straight out, could have actually made it. But it's a pretty important swing, I think, and definitely bodes well for DCG fighting that 3rd dragon, which could be extremely important, right? Because if Frank managed to get that, we'll kind of hold that dragon threat over them throughout the rest of the game. They don't, though. DCG are going to find themselves in a very nice position. Solo Kill, perhaps starting to turn this matchup around. Is crashing waves, and Hanabi should cancel this recall. No? Okay, does not.
Doesn't have
Doesn't have
teleport
TP,
available
yeah.
either.
Surprised he decided to base. Felt like he didn't really need to, but Nessie is coming top. Feels like it's going to be quite late, though. This tower takes a lot of unnecessary damage here. Doesn't look like it's quite going to go down, but kind of questionable, I feel like. Does make sure to keep it alive here, does Nessie. And he
Kaiwing will only just miss out on Cascada, but will find the knock-up onto Orca as Hanabi now coming in mid, looking for Eminem. Nothing yet. Nature's Grasp also committed, so 2 big cooldowns down for the side of Frank. Do, importantly though, manage to get the heal and the Zeri ult off of DCG.
Yeah, I think this should be better for DCG around the Herald, though. I guess we're going to see who enters the river first. Frank, they're going to try control this vision. It can be very difficult to face check the Taliyah. Overall, though, you kind of have to feel like without those cooldowns, it does just go the way of DCG here. And I think Kaiwing, I really admire the attempt. Was very close to succeeding, actually. Unfortunately, though, didn't quite manage to catch Cascada. And that is the second Herald, which will be picked up for DCG. And I think ahead of the third Dragon, it's definitely a good look for them. They have their gold lead. They have the Herald to pressure as well. Their mid tower, it's going to be taking a little bit of damage, and they don't quite have members in the area. Hana's looking for some sort of flank.
Yeah, we see teleport in. Hanabi will find an all-out onto Hollow, likely. Actually, not yet. Knockback found by Hollow as Kaiwing has gone in. Orca extremely low. There is no Zeri ult yet. Eminem does importantly have both his ult and flash available. They are, for the time being at least, kiting away. Rift Herald placed mid, looks for some damage towards this mid tower. Perhaps going to take it here.
Yeah, Nature's Grasp comes out. I think this tower might be okay. But they managed to keep it up at least for now. And they managed to get their mid tower taken as well. So gold once again remains pretty much completely even. Slight advantage here for the side of DCG. But third Dragon in only a minute. It's going to be very, very important. And pretend he commits a TP bot. I wonder if he grabs this wave and then resets for item or something. Because otherwise, isn't going to get time to reset before the next drag.
He's got like no mana too. Interesting decision.
I guess he has ults. He can get back on the map in time, I think, if he really needs to. But I wonder, does he get an item or something off that? Because it's kind of a interesting TP. Is now going to go for the reset. Will be late towards this third Dragon setup. But I think should be very strong. We'll see what item he ends up picking up. Probably just a rod, you would think. Let's see. Depends if he's building that tier into something or not. Meanwhile, though, yeah, okay, so it is a rod. And top tier 1 was picked up here by Solo Kill.
Yeah, so actually a hidden gold now.
Yeah.
Frank.
It's a pretty sizable lead now. Especially because it's all on the Jax. 10 seconds, though, on this third Dragon. I wonder, are DCG actually just going to give this up? It doesn't look like it, but they currently are late to mid-wave, and Nesty's catching a wave top. Hanabi, though, he's in that bot river. Does not have the Ghost available for this fight, which I think is very, very important. Same with Eminem, though. TP comes in from Nesty. They're looking to contest.
Have to look out for this Weaver's Wall. What can Pretender find here? Can he split up the team necessarily to be able to find a good angle? Eminem hasn't recalled, so he is a little bit behind on items than he possibly could have been. Okay, so tensions are high here. It feels like this could be something that decides the game. Flash actually forced out of Pretender. Good find from Nesty there to cage him up, and that's a massive cooldown gone for this Taliyah.
Hanabi, though, now has to answer the bot wave, and that gives Solo Kill the opportunity to push mid, which Cascada will then have to answer. And I think overall that gives Frank the better position. They decide to start this up, and you'd expect the Weaver's Wall to be committed soon to help them secure this.
Yeah, it's going to commit, and it's going to keep Nesty and Orca away from this. Hanabi, though, really in there. As we see the fight start, Pretender does go golden. What can they find? Eminem in a really nice position to possibly get out some feathers. It is Dragon secured for the side of Frank. However, what do they lose? Solo Q extremely low. Will Eminem be able to find anything? Doesn't look like it. So it is 2 kills found now for DCG, but soul point for Frank.
Yeah, very, very close to, and I think fortunate for the side of Frank that Baron was not up and available. I think that could have been another teamfight victory for them, but unfortunately Pretender with a bit of a missed position. He comes off the wall and just gets immediately Vega caged, and obviously had lost his flash previously, did not have the cleanse either, I think. Just swapped to it now, so that's very, very bad. I mean, it's still good for them because they got the soul, but I really think they could have won the team fight. The Weaver's Wall was very, very good. We'll take a look at this. So we kind of see them starting off. Weaver's Wall looks good, but he comes off this Doesn't walk far enough back before placing his E, gets caged, and while the stopwatch comes out, once again, it's after so much damage has already been committed, and without the flash, feels like we're kind of just seeing what happened to him last game, as he can't get out in time. Very important, though, that Frank managed to pick up that dragon, and also very important that this happened before the Baron spawn, because if that had been Baron for DCG, the game would have felt in a very rough spot, but now... Oh, I like the little dance there. Now you always have the threat of Sol, right? Even if DCG managed to pick up the next couple dragons, all it takes is one teamfight misplay, and it will go the way of Frank. Now, Archangels is completed for Nesty, so not the Rabadons. Can't say I'm a fan.
Yeah, it isn't the Rabadons, and Navori will be finished so soon here for Eminem, and at that stage is when Zaya really starts to take over in these fights, and especially around the river where you can set up so many feathers and just completely negate the effects of all of the dive out of like the Zeri, the Wukong, and also the Cassante.
Looks like another tower will go down on the bot side, and Solo Kill, he's the beneficiary of a lot of this gold, has now picked up 2 tower kills for himself. And it is 3 kills to 3 drags. Gold remains within 400 gold of each other. I'd be surprised if Solo Kill can get more done here, but Pretender's around with the Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, we'll be able to find, not the stun actually, unstoppable for Hanabi. He's going to force the Ghost. Does take a lot of damage, but there's nothing really to find from this, as it does give a lot of river control possibly to the side of DCG. Tower down on top 2.
It does manage to trade something on the other side of the map there. TP committed from Pretender to go onto that top wave, and while he did get Hanabi's Ghost, I think it'll be up in time for the drag. If it's not, though, it's actually a pretty big win. Navori now completed for Eminem and is going to be extremely strong in this next fight. Getting some pings around this Baron area. Maybe just want to make sure that the control is secured. I think if you're Frank, you want to make sure that you either get the drag or the Baron. You can't afford to give up a dragon and just do the Baron, but if you're the side of DCG, you definitely don't want a trade. You want to make sure that that Baron remains alive and you do secure yourselves the dragon. And it looks like Nesty will actually be going towards the Deadmans instead of the Rabadons, which I'm not sure if it's really necessary in this game, honestly. Obviously, having the movement speed does feel good, but it's so much damage you're missing out on by not itemizing the Rabadons on Vega. It's probably the single best item on the champ, given how much AP you get. Admittedly, does have a lot of damage on the rest of his team, though, so maybe just feels like he doesn't need it. It is only 1 minute and 20 seconds, though, until this 4th dragon. Skada's currently the one in the lead with the goal, but won't have enough for the Navori before this fight.
It is very close across the board.
Yeah, does remain very, very close. It is Solo Kill has almost 1,000 gold lead over his opponent here. But how much does it really mean? Can't really take a whole lot in the side lane, you feel like. We'll just come down to this team fight.
Does have Black Cleaver now, though, so that could be massive in this upcoming fight. It will really allow him to do a lot more damage, and we've seen what Solo Kill can do when he gets a bit of damage, so 45 seconds out from this dragon. As it's the side of Frank, I mean, honestly, you don't want to, but I feel like the Dragon for Baron trade is a trade in favor of Baron, particularly when it is this Infernal Soul.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you can grab the Baron, it would be nice. Obviously, want to go for both. Eminem is getting looked at on the mid wave, and currently, Pretender is pushing top very far in, is now going to back off.
Has to be careful.
Yeah, should be fine here, but does not have the TP.
Kaiwing, no flash now. Hanabi will find a nice engage here onto Hollow, who gets really, really low, is going to commit Nature's Grasp, but Cyclone to answer. Actually, it's now Hana that's very low. Kaiwing will commit that depth charge. Solo is going to get stunned up here, as Cassante will also. Solo Kill so low. Cascada flashes forward. Is he going to be able to find anything? Not just yet, but that is priority over this dragon, and it will be going to the side of DCG.
Interesting. So Pretender decides to hard commit for the top tower and did not have the TP to come down. I am surprised that they decided to go for that, because it feels like you probably could have won that fight, honestly. The fight was pretty close, even though it was a 4v5. Now, Cascada did commit his flash, and so did Hana. It's not like it was for free, though. Hollow, Solo Kill, and Kaiwing also lost their flashes. I'm a little curious, though, why they felt like the top tier 2 was so valuable. Obviously, it's a nice gold injection, but are you really worried about that at that point? It feels like probably just playing for the flip on the Herald or on the Infernal might have been better. Ultimately, though, they decided to give it up. Maybe they want to try complete the Zhonya's or something before the next fight. I have to see. I was kind of expecting that to end up being the real deal breaker in this game, but instead, looks like we'll be waiting another 4.5 minutes. And it is nice, I think, when you do have the 3 drags, that it at least affords you the option to do stuff like that if you want. Try and get yourself a little bit more gold in exchange for that drag.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot more time up your sleeves than DCG do. They're forced to contest every dragon at this point, and as you said, Frank can opt to just try and take things in the side lane, even maybe be good to get that Lord Dominic's on this Daya before fighting. Simply because she is, for the majority of the time at least, hitting Cassante or Wukong, who will have a lot of armor.
Yeah, I think it's a wise decision for sure. BCG, though, they're getting a lot of priority over mid currently. Gold, once again, is almost dead even. So insane that these teams have managed to stay so close for so long throughout the whole series. And now in the most important game of all, Nesty, yeah, he's definitely going for the tankier items, which is, you know, I'm not honestly sure it's needed. Feels like you could just go the full AP route and still be mainly fine. There isn't a lot of threat to you in the backline, really just the Jax. Having the moves and speed, I suppose, is nice for placing some of those cages, though. And Krishkata, he doesn't have Flash here for a while, but you're not really expecting any Barons or anything to start up. These aren't the sort of teams that have been kind of hard looking for fights outside of the objectives. I think Kaiwing may be the only member really who has tried to force things. Everyone else, though, has kind of been content to just sit back and farm. And take a look at the carry golds. Pretender and Nesty neck and neck. Same with Krishkata and Eminem. Still so close. DCG, though, they're gaining some of this Baron vision. Can use it as an opportunity to bring solo kill out from the side lane. Feels like it's kind of hard to get stuff done, though, here as a Jax. Whittling down the Cassante takes a very long time.
Looks like Frozen Heart is going to be what solo kill's looking for next, so... And I do like it. I don't think any of these Veigar abilities should really be going to him, as we do see a fight start out. Teleport committed from Nesty here. Is solo kill going to be able to survive? It doesn't look like it, so it is a kill picked up now. 40 seconds left on his respawn timer, as Baron now could be on the cards potentially for DCG.
It could be, but Nesty did use his ultimate, so I feel like they don't want to start it up. Overall, though, this is a nice kill to pick up pretty much for free, and 400 gold going over to the Veigar should mean that he completes this item ahead of the next dragon. DCG, they're kind of positioning around it. I think the window's closed, though. Solo kill has TP in just 20 more seconds. If they do look to start it up, though, it looks like they will. I think this might be better for Frank. The Veigar isn't up quite yet, although it is soon. Actually, yeah, maybe he will have it in time for this team fight. 7 seconds on solo kill's TP.
Okay, Pretender will use Weaver's Wall as a fight looks to start out. Pretender all isolated by himself up here, as Eminem is going to find a lot of damage here. Can Hanabi get out of this? It looks problematic. Solo kill finds a 3-man stun in the back. It is now up to the Cyclone. It's going to go down. Pretender picks up that one, followed by Eminem picking up a kill here on Hanabi. Krishkata trying to do what he can in the back line. It's another kill over to the side of Frank. Another one again. It is one traded back, but ultimately it looks like it will be an inevitable 1 for 5 trade in favor of Frank.
With everything on the line, you give solo kill a carry champ and he will deliver. He finds that flash stun over the wall onto 3 members and it turns the fight so far in Frank's favor. Off that, I think they can pick up this dragon and probably then can reset towards that Infernal Soul. An absolute disaster there for DCG. I felt like they were in pretty good control of the situation, but unfortunately didn't respect the solo kill flank. And now Baron picked up. It's a sizable gold lead for Frank. They can reset and probably get towards this dragon as well. Take a look at this replay. Veigar isn't quite available yet, so they don't have as much damage on the turn. I think initial cage being used and can't quite connect means now they have to back away. But unfortunately, they kind of funnel themselves into this corner. They know the TP is here, but they all bunch up. And the 3-man stun followed up by so much damage here, as well as the Nature's Grasp just kind of hits all the members. It becomes so hard, and Veigar only just now came up, and it feels just not quite enough. So overall, just teamfight execution was cleaner there for Frank. And if you're DCG, you watch that back in the VOD and you've got to be kicking yourselves over it. They knew the TP was there. Now though, trying to re-engage around this 4th drag.
Yeah, certainly are. And You said flash stun there from solo kill, but you'd be hoping that for DCG, but it certainly wasn't.
Well,
he managed to just find it with a Q, so has to be so careful of that again. Kaiwing stunned up here, will take a lot of damage. Weaver's wall comes out. It's going to split off the jungler for DCG. Solo kill dealing with him, getting him quite low now. Dragon, 5k HP. Hollow looking to use a Nature's Grasp. It's pricked up by Pretender. That will be the soul. Now, do they look to fight? They will be really, really strong here. Hanabi gets Wild Groves and is going to go down. Crescado, though, on the back line. What can he find? He comes through. Is he going to be able to find the damage? It doesn't appear so. That's 2 kills, 3 kills even now for the side of Frank. And it's a 2-man route from Eminem to find all 5.
Back-to-back team fight wins there from Frank. I think they might be able to end the game off that. The death timers are very long. They have all 5 members alive and the Baron. And it looks like, oh my god, I want to see the, get rid of the cam. I need to see the damage number. Eminem, he must have done so much, 6,700 in that fight. And I think finally, 5 games later, it is Frank Esports that are going to pick this one up.
Yeah, they do eventually get it done. A bit risky, a bit rough at times, but they get it done here. They will be moving forward. What a game that was, and what a series.
Oh man, and ultimately it was the side we were expecting to win the series, right? But DCG, they managed to make it look so competitive, and I think, you know, credit to them for a 6th seed coming in as a heavy underdog in this matchup. They really pushed Frank to the limit, and a 3-2 for the 3rd day in a row. Crazy.
What a game. And I have to say, even this game, it looked almost at some stage that DCG were in the driving position. Were looking like they could be able to win out against our 2nd seed in Frank, but one mistake around that Baron pit, it was what it took, and a 3-man stun from solo kill. He could have done that on a tank too, but ultimately he gave him his jacks. He leaped over a wall, 3-man stun, and that was pretty much what led to the end of this game.
It really was. And that point you kind of brought up about how, despite it being the 3-2, you know, it was close in every single game. It was really one of the longest 3-2s I think I've seen in the PCS so far. I mean, wow, just the fact that it was so competitive for so long. Like, even that last game, I think, very easily could have gone the way of DCG, right? If just a couple things had gone different. But it is Frank that pick up the win at the very end.